The elusive, positive vibes, I feel like it's now catching up to the pack. Let your soul glow. This one is one of those things that I have to think about. The difference between the soul, the mind, and the heart. You guys know that the heart physically is a muscle, yet we use it to describe things like think with your head instead of with your heart. When the heart, all it does is pump blood, the primary main character of the circulatory system. And then we talk about the mind, but the mind is part of the brain. But the mind is not something that you can necessarily just quantify. Like, you cannot just pick at one of my cells in my head and be like, oh, yeah, that's where your mind lives. What is the mind? We all agree that the mind is there despite us not being able to quantify it, in the same manner that we can tell that air is there even though we cannot see it because we can feel it moving through us, past us, whatever the fuck, and moving things in the process. But when it comes to the soul, I remember as a kid, that was one of the things I had the most difficulty understanding. What's spirit? What is soul? What is mind? What are feelings, and do feelings belong to the soul? Do feelings belong to the mind? In order for me to talk about my soul, I prefer to talk about my mind more, and my soul, I live it more for when I'm discussing very strong feelings that are in the realm of spirituality. How is a spirit different from a soul? If you were to ask me that, I dead ass do not know how to define it to you. I don't know the difference. I just know that I find myself using those words. Again, I have no idea where to go with it. I don't know. It's time to use the dictionary. Soul.
Soul means the spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal regarded as immortal.
Spirit.
Spirit means the non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul.
We say Holy Spirit and not the Holy Soul. That's why I always felt that despite me never officially hearing official definitions for those words, I just used them interchangeably. It turns out I was just a few seconds old when I discovered that those things are essentially the same thing. To go back to the actual card, let your soul glow. For me, that is something that I want to say I don't struggle with, even at my worst, even when I'm in places I don't like to be particularly. Even if I look like I'm lost within myself and I'm in my shell and not letting anything out, I still feel like I can continue to be myself. I'll still be observing things. I'll still be finding certain things humorous. I'll still be operating as usual. I don't feel like I'm the kind of person who needs to be encouraged to be myself and to not be afraid or embarrassed by anything. I have said that numerous times in here, given examples of how people's complexes I simply do not share. I simply do not struggle with some of the, I guess you could say, identity crisis that people are having. And it's not about the whole switching your gender thing. It's more about I don't have problems with who and what I am. I have known who and what I am since I was around 15, 16 years old. And that's the reason why I always describe that season as the season I was most hurt. Because I felt like I was struggling to exist being that way because I felt I wasn't understood and I wasn't supported in being that way. But instead, in a sense, pressured into determining what I'm going to commit to allow myself to be exploited. And to give you an example, it's make sure that you decide which college you're going to go to because someone with your talent has to commit to something and become really good at it and make money off it. But I'm like, why is no one talking about the way that people make money off me? You're just telling me a one-sided part, which is how much I'll get paid if I commit to, I don't know, being a lawyer. But why is no one talking about the others who make money off me? You'll be like, well, but that's just the price. That's the cost. You have to give back to the community, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you're still not answering my question though. Why can I not be a standalone lawyer? Let's say that I just make my own money. Why is it that I have to rely on another connection? Who is the connection that is paying everybody? Does that make sense? To put it a different way, you have a company. Who owns the company? It's not even the CEO. It has to be a group of people. But why does it have to operate like a company? Oh, because if the owner dies, the corporation at least can continue. We're treating it like its own living entity. But again, why is it that you refuse to let things just go down? Because they have to cease to exist. Nothing can be eternal. For instance, in my current status as a retail worker, why is it that, sure, I work, I make money, but someone is still making money off me? Someone is still making money off me by not paying me benefits, for instance. How is that fair? The value, the cost of things. I was continuously being sold this prestigious lifestyle, but no one was ever discussing how someone else's goals could be achieved because of me and my contributions. But because this person is paying me, they have control over me, and I have to do whatever it is that they want me to do and contribute to feeding their idea to fuel their dream. But no one is asking me what my dream is. You just think that my dream is going to end when I work at the job that I want and at the job that I like. And that's it. Like, I'm happy I gotta conform myself with this. Maybe I can make it on my own, or maybe not. But ultimately, I am being exploited to help someone else achieve their dreams. But what about my dreams? Just because I cannot pay other people to help me with my dreams, it doesn't mean that I don't have dreams. See what I mean? Basically, this is my dream. Work sufficiently, work enough in small doses, in adequate doses, for me to live my life not tied down to my career. Let's say that I am, I don't know, a policewoman. Let me work 4 5-hour shifts, maybe 6, and then I can have the rest of my day to do things. Maybe more people would be interested in doing things like that. But to do that, you gotta pay me in a way that supports the fact that I go out there and work in the first place. That's compensated enough for me to have medical coverage, to afford living. But no, instead, the dream here, the goal here is that because I am not part of the society that makes the rules, then I have to suffer the consequence of working for someone else because someone else's dream is to be at the top of, I don't know, the tech industry, whatever the fuck. But what if I like to work in tech? I like to use computers, but just because I like to use computers, it doesn't mean I want to be working, making them or repairing them for 8 hours. How about if I want to do that for only 4 hours? I'm still showing up, I'm still doing my work, but I'm just not allowing you for your schedule that you need from me to control me to help you achieve your goals that you define, that you set, that nobody asked for. But it's there because you know that the demand is there and people cannot control themselves and they want things fast. I need to pay and suffer the consequence of other people not being able to wait a day to fix their little ass devices because you want me to work an extra 4 hours, 5 hours, so that these people get served, so that they can continue with their day, but then I'm still stuck at the workplace. After I repair your phone, I don't get to leave, I don't get to go out. I guess it's kind of like college, the professor to student ratio. The smaller the school, the better, because maybe one professor can be available for every 10 kids. But there are schools in which it's one professor is available for every 60 kids. What? I bet you that professor has to suffer the consequences. No, I'm saying I don't want a part in any of that. And I would rather suffer the consequence of lacking resources because I don't follow the stream rather than following the stream mindlessly because, oh my god, this is what I have to do to live decently. Forget that. If I have to live in the street, I'll live in the street. This is not what people from the past died for, is it? And that's the part at the time when I described the season as being my most depressed and dark. That's what I was trying to challenge. That's what I was trying to convey to those folks who were telling me, you have so much talent and you could be a great doctor. You could be a great lawyer. You could be a great blah, blah, blah. That video topic I made about invisible talents. I was that person with the invisible talent. I wasn't showing that I could fly planes like my brother could. I would rather starve, which technically is what I'm doing at the level that I'm living, and let my potential go to waste than allow for someone potentially corrupt, more than likely corrupt, to take advantage of me and give me the scraps. You're going to pay me enough to keep me, I guess, well and happy and afloat and all that, but it's going to cost me time. It's going to cost me being committed to things that I probably don't want to be committed to. I'm going to have to show up to functions I don't want to be at. I'm going to have to be surrounded by people I probably don't want to be surrounded by. That's the kind of shit that no one was having a conversation with me about back in the day. And that's why I felt lost and lonely and frustrated. I'm like, who is going to talk to me about the reality of what it means to be at work? And then we have videos like that one girl who had that meltdown where people were bullying this girl because she got a job doing something medical, I guess. And she was like, I work, was it 8 or 12 hour shifts? I forget what it is. But she was like, how am I supposed to have time to work out? How am I supposed to have time to cook? How am I supposed to have time to have fun and date and recreation and shower and all that? And people were like, well, honey, that is just the reality of being an adult and working and real life and this and that. I avoided that essentially by me refusing to go on a path like that. I said that is the cost of having a professional career or any career for that matter. It's going to cost me being away, it's going to cost me being at home, it's going to cost me things like that. And I just refuse. And people were mad at me because I was refusing to be exploited like that. And now the conversation happens to be heading in the direction as I have been living this entire time, which is people would rather exchange pay. They would rather get paid less if it means having more time to be not working. The only difference is that I decided to do that since way before I entered college age. And with that said, my soul was the one glowing at the time. I didn't just give in to the pressure of this is what I have to do because my parents fulfilled being pillars in society. And to me, that shit just never made sense to me because all I could think about is how I suffered. Like my mom being temperamental, my dad being absent, and all that drama. And I said, that's what life is supposed to be? Is that what makes life appealing? Fuck that. I hope this made sense to you guys. The reason I took the time to describe all that is so that hopefully you realized that I was describing my mind connected to my soul, guiding me through those times, and how me committing to that ended up working out for me. Even if I'm not successful, even if I'm broke as shit, even if I don't have fancy things, I feel like I'm living in a way that's practical, in a way that's well balanced. Anytime something threatens to mess with that balance, I fight it. Those complexes that people tend to have, like inferiority or powerlessness and stuff like that, sometimes it's just that, a lack of power over your own self. I want to say I have about 90% power over myself. The other 10% are the insecurities that are inherent to any human being and should be, and keep you at bay. The things that you question about yourself, and you're like, just because I have the thought and have the capacity, it probably doesn't mean I should do something. That type of hesitation to do something. That's what I mean. I know I might have had a really confusing way of conveying this in the beginning, especially with my examples, but hopefully you see what I meant and how it ties in to everything I have been saying here this entire time. All right, that's it. Bye.